So Sarah Pochin, the new Reform MP, got to ask her first question at Prime Minister's Question Time today. And to her credit, I don't really have a great deal of trust in her, but to her credit, it was a corker of a question to get off the mark with. She stood up and asked the Prime Minister, will this government consider banning the burqa in the UK, given that I think it's three other major European countries, including Denmark and France, have done that same thing? Keir Starmer, being Keir Starmer, didn't even attempt to answer the question. He basically just said, I'm not going to engage with that, and went on to say something completely different, basically slagging off the Reform Party. So, yet again, refuses to answer the question. However, interestingly, it's really kicked off. It's really started to raise some debate. Lots of other MPs, the usual suspects, have come out and utterly condemned her. Quite a lot of people have supported her. Quite a lot of people have pointed out that, well, if it's happening in France, if it's happening in Denmark, these are very democratic countries. Why shouldn't we at least consider it? Now, my personal view is I would ban all face coverings in public, particularly things like balaclavas. I wouldn't allow people to wear helmets or crash helmets when they enter any public building, and that would include, for me, religious face coverings. People shouldn't be able to cover their entire faces in public under any circumstances. Couldn't care less what their religion is, couldn't care less whether they're cold because they're riding a bike and they need a balaclava, couldn't care less whether they're a motorbike delivery person. Get the helmet off when you're in public. It's as simple as that. More widely speaking, though, this has seemed to have really poked the hornet's nest and unleashed a lot of ill feeling towards Sarah Pochin. What it's also done, however, is it's pointed out some of the hypocrisy within the Reform Party. Reform, bear in mind, their chairman is Zia Youssef, who is a Muslim. Within less than an hour of her standing up in Parliament and asking this question, the Reform Party have issued a statement saying, oh, this is not our official policy. This was a question she asked on her own. This is not Reform Party policy. Really? Why did they issue that statement? Do they issue statements like that every time one of their politicians says anything or asks a question? Shouldn't it be their official policy? Given their policies on many other areas around immigration and integration in this country, maybe it should be their policy. Is it any coincidence that their chairman is part of the Islamic faith and therefore they won't come out and say anything against the Islamic faith? Makes you ask a few questions about the management of the Reform Party. I'm pretty sure that Sarah Pochin wouldn't have been very happy standing up, asking her first question, and then within minutes getting a slap down from her own chairman. What does that make you think about reform and where they're going? This is an issue that needs to be confronted. But has anyone actually got the bravery and the balls to confront it? We shall see. And the final question or final thing I've got to say is, will Keir Starmer ever actually answer a question? And why doesn't the Speaker of the House pick him up on the fact that if you watch Prime Minister's Question Time every week, any of the sort of serious, difficult questions, he never, ever even makes an attempt to answer them. What he does is he bats them away and then he turns his answer into an attack on the Conservative Party, an attack on the Reform Party, an attack on the SNP. That's his modus operandi. That's what he does. I'm not going to answer that question, but you were this bad. I'm not going to answer that question, but you did this. I'm not going to answer that question, but you got some front saying that when you guys did this. He does it every single week, and he does it half a dozen times at PMQs every single week. It's a bloody outrage. And the fact that the Speaker doesn't pick him up on it is absolutely atrocious.